Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Jake with Trickfish, and we are here today with our good friend Elon JD.
Hey.
Elon is a fantastic bass player, plays with Jonathan Scales Orchestra and a number of other amazing artists. And Elon is one of the newest artists on the Trickfish roster, and we are super, super glad to have him. So thanks for making some
And
time.
thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man, it's great to see you.
Yeah.
You and I go way back, man, and so it's fun to get to sit down and talk about all this together and kind of reflect back on the years that I've known you. You're just a great guy, and you're also like one of my favorite players. So
Man, thank you.
yeah,
That was really nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, and we do go way back. I feel like every time I see you, you have something new to show me, and then I get excited, and then I'm always asking you all the questions
yeah.
about new gear, about new things. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, you're kind of like my guru in the back of my head,
Well, that's funny because you're like that for playing. For me, I'm always like, "What was that thing? Show me that thing. What was that? Show me that thing you just did."
Right on.
But I just wanted to kind of like chat and ask you a few questions about your playing and your background. It's cool just to kind of get to know a little bit more about you and kind of how you got into this. So can you tell us a little bit about maybe how you started playing bass and when and what originally kind of brought you into the instrument?
Yeah, so my first instrument actually was viola in the
Oh.
orchestra. And we had, I think, three bass players in the orchestra at the time, and they all quit.
Oh.
And so I got asked to play upright, and that was like my introduction to playing bass. And I thought it was so much fun, and a little bit of excitement around that is that like within 2 years I became first chair, and I really started taking it serious. I thought I was going to be like this amazing upright bass player.
Uh-huh.
And then I didn't play at all after I left high school. And bass guitar became kind of the new upright for me. And, I think I was watching some kind of Grammy show. It was some award show, and I saw a bass player playing. And I told my grandmother, I said, "Hey, I really like that." I was like 13 at the time. I was like,
Mhm.
"That's really awesome." And then she surprised me with my first bass guitar.
Oh, that's
Like a
awesome.
few weeks later.
That's
It was
really
a,
cool.
a Mexican-made Fender Jazz.
Nice.
And so, yeah, shout out to grandma.
Man, shout out to grandma. Shout out to the Made in Mexico jazz bass. That's like
Yeah.
the classic first good bass that a
Yes,
lot of us had. That was
exactly.
my first decent bass. I feel like a lot of guys have a similar story where they started playing bass because like there was no bass player or the
Right.
bass player quit and they were maybe doing something else and they kind of got pulled in and then they end up falling in love with the instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hear that so often, guitar players or any instrument. It's just, I feel
Yeah.
like bass is kind of easy to get into and hard to master,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, for sure.
So,
Yeah, so I'm curious, like your playing style is so distinctive and your sound is so distinctive. I'm curious, like when you were kind of creating your identity as a player with your sound and your playing, like who were you looking at as sort of these like guiding sort of lights, and what was sort of like the impetus for you to kind of develop this sort of unique sound that you've got?
so a lot of my influence just comes from seeing guys, the standard guys like Victor Wooten, Stanley Clark, Marcus
Yeah.
Miller, the old school guys. And I really enjoyed the fact that they were very bass forward,
Yeah.
and I didn't really grow up playing in a musical family. I didn't grow up into like a musical scene. So seeing that just kind of blew my mind at that age. And I just kind of, trial by fired it
Yeah.
and jumped headfirst into, hey, I just want to play stuff like that. And a few years later, I got into this bass player named Damian Erskine.
Oh yeah.
And Damien. He's just
Love Damien.
insane,
Amazing.
one of the nicest people in the world.
Yeah.
He released this book called Right Hand Drive,
Oh yeah.
and that was like my bass Bible,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived in that book. And so a lot of my technique, that I do now, like playing with the orchestra and even in my own original music, just comes from starting in that book, checking out Damien Erskine stuff, listening to Victor Wooten, all those guys.
Yeah.
They
That's
really influenced me.
interesting. Now
Yeah.
that you mention it, I think I do hear like some DNA
Yeah.
there with Damien with like the right hand facility and also kind of the sound. There's some similarities there, like the real kind of warm mid range push.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love Damien's playing.
He's great, man.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Shout out to Damien.
Shout out to Damien Erskine. Oh my God. Love that dude. So you've been using the Trickfish stuff for a few months, I guess.
Yep.
We had talked about it. You'd borrowed a rig from me like over the summer and you were checking it out. And then during Hurricane Helene that happened here in North Carolina, when I was like evacuating and my family moved to like 3 hours away to go stay with in-laws. I remember hitting you up and being like, "Hey man, can you babysit this rig for me?"
No problem.
And I brought you a cabinet and a head. I guess I'm curious, when you started using the gear, like what was your experience when you first sort of plugged into it and were able to kind of like get a handle on what the gear was doing?
Right. So yeah, my first experience was at the Asheville Bass Hang. Actually, I was in
Oh,
town. I came out to
yes.
the Asheville Bass Hang, and there was a Trickfish rig set
Yep.
up there, and plugged into it, and I was just like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
It's the stuff that I've been using over the years is great, and playing through the Trickfish thing, it just had this like sparkle to it that I was like, something's different here,
Yeah.
and so I checked it out there. And then, Hurricane Helene happened,
Yeah.
and you told me about the rig. I saw that as an opportunity to really
Yeah.
dig in. And I think at that time I was using it was the same head here, the 1K.
Yeah.
And just, I tinkered with that thing for weeks
Yeah.
and tried to make it sound bad.
Yeah.
And just, couldn't. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like boosting in all the areas, cutting in all the areas. And I was like, all right, cool. This is like plug and play,
Yeah.
or you can go as extreme as you want. And I love
Awesome.
it.
So your band that you play with most of the time, or
Mhm.
that I'm familiar with, that's your main gig, is the Jonathan Scales Orchestra. So it's you, Jonathan Scales, who's like a virtuosic steel pan percussion player,
Mhm.
and then Mason Guidry,
Yeah.
who's like this insanely, freakishly awesome drummer.
Yeah.
It's a trio. Those guys are playing a lot, and you have this awesome way of kind of just anchoring the sound of the band. It's this nice juxtaposition where you're still playing really complex bass lines, but it's so rooted and it's so solid, it really kind of holds it down for those guys to kind of fly around. I'm curious, like when you're on tour playing with the rig with that band, how is it working for you on stage as a stage monitor and in the mix with those instruments?
Yeah. Particularly the 1K that I've been using has been working phenomenally. I kind of think of myself in the group as more of like almost like a pseudo keyboard player,
Uh-huh.
right? So I'm holding down a lot of like sustained chordal stuff that's going on to kind of like fill up the space because we're kind of just this power rhythm section.
Yeah.
And I mean, it cuts through like right where you want it to cut through. The bottom end is tight, punchy. You can get super warm with it if you need to. It's been a lot of fun, and there was a couple times we were playing on stage, and the old musician look when you do the sting face.
Yeah.
Jonathan's consistently looking over almost every song after I started using this, and so he's
Nice.
just like blown away.
That's always a good feeling when the dude's
Yeah,
like, whatever you're using,
yeah,
that sounds good, because most people don't even care. They're like, I can hear the bass, everything is fine. And when
exactly.
someone's like, I like the way that sounds,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
helps me do my thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
starting to like pretty much become an integral like cornerstone of our sound, just because like
Yeah.
that's what it is.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Man, so tell me what you have coming up in 2025 in terms of gigs and projects.
Yeah. So still playing with Jonathan Scales Orchestra. We have a bunch of gigs coming up, doing some tours. We'll be out of the country later this year. We did our debut last year at Ronnie Scott's, which was amazing,
Cool.
super fun stuff. And we're going to be back there this year. Bunch of festivals with him, releasing some new music. And I'm also releasing a bunch of singles myself.
Awesome.
And
I love your stuff, man.
man, thank you.
The vocals and playing is awesome.
Thank you. I've, you know, during COVID, everyone became a songwriter and a producer.
Yeah.
And I really started to really find my own sound in that during that time period, and just keeping it going. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
I'm curious too, and I think other guys are really curious about your instrument that you play. It's like a very unique sound, but it's also just like a very unique instrument. I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So this is a custom build from a company called B. Miller Basses. It's a 5-string. It's a shorter scale, 33-inch scale. It's all passive, one pickup. We have the just the volume here. With a parallel in series, and then we have a tone styler here for 10 different frequencies.
Got it. It has like the different tone profiles, but all passive.
Yep, Delano pickup and hip shot bridge. And it's kind of, incognito in the front, and then the back is where all the...
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
this whole situation and this inlay is really gorgeous.
Super amazing, man. I'm really fortunate to have this instrument. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah. It really it really feels like you. Like when you got that, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely Elon's bass. Definitely.
Yeah, it feels weird to play other instruments until, I'll go to this and then I'll play. I'm like, oh yeah, this is me.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Brandon, man. He's doing amazing things.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate making some time to come and sit down and chat. And it's always just fun to hang. I love hanging with you.
Yeah, same. Happy to be here. Hope to come back and do some more videos.
Come on back, man.
Let's hang.
Yeah, we're going to do more. Elon's doing our J-Core demo video. So if you haven't checked out the demo for the new jazz bass plate preamp, you can get to hear some more Elon. But also go check out Jonathan Scales Forchestra. Go check out Elon. Can you tell us like any of your web stuff, Instagram, website, whatnot?
Yeah, if you want to check out the stuff, Jonathan Scales Forchestra, it's at johnscales.com, elonjd.com if you want to check out my website, or you could find all of us online. You could find me online on Instagram at Elon JD. That's all the places.
Awesome. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.